All right. We should be live here. Looking at all my settings one more time. Gonna stream a nice GC editor UI in glorious 1080p, 60 frames per second, as is always necessary. Oh, I'm just gonna move this thing over here. Is this gonna break the chat? No, perfect. All right, so I'm just moving some stuff around on my screen. Hello everyone, and welcome to Corey Loses, where today we are going to be building a GC for Thrawn Revenge. That's a Galactic Conquest. We are going to be doing the Art of War scenario. I have some of the details on the bottom right of the stream there because I had nothing better to put in that corner for the stream. So this is an air progressive GC. We're going to be doing 100 planets. I am going to be doing all the planet placements and a lot of the trade routes. We'll see how long that takes, and maybe even some of the initial force setup. But yeah, so the other thing I'm going to be doing during the stream is answering any questions that come up on the chat box. I've got it up right here. So yeah, the first question there was if it's going to be all the planets, and that is not going to happen because there are basically 250, and that would be terrible. There's going to be another GC that we might do that in later, but there will be a lot of disclaimers attached to that because it will not perform well for most people. So I think Hawks is planning to join in at some point. I'm going to message him just to tell him he's going to be working on something else, but I told the team I'm going to be doing this. So he might pop in, answer some questions, talk to me a bit. And yeah, so the first thing we are going to do, because we are looking to get about 100 planets, we want to have all the factions in here. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to find all of the capitals, which is... Okay, so Bastion, even though it's technically not the capital, we're going to put Bastion there. So we want the Errata Authority, we want the New Republic, Imperial Remnant, all the factions. So Bastion for the PA. Yeah, Richard, there are at least 50 planets that weren't in 2.1. So, we want Bastion, we want... we're going to start by getting the capitals, and we're going to try to find any story planets that are really important, and then we'll go through and we're going to pick out planets to flesh out the factions so that they have relatively balanced starting positions, or at least lower appropriate starting positions. We have Bastion and Coruscant. We want Dathomir for Zinj. We want the next one, I think, is going to be Eridu. So that's going to... Yeah, where are you? Eridu. And Entrala, because that's the actual capital of the Pentastar alignment. Oh, wait, we missed Centauri's, which is the capital for the Great Amal Druid. Scylla isn't in the mod because the... Yeah, I feel like I have to do this a lot. David, you please do not just come in and spam the word spam. I'm pretty sure I've had to mute you before for doing that. It's really not funny, it's just kind of annoying, so please don't do that. Alright. And I think Hakasi apes... I'm not sure, I'm never sure which planets belong to which of the Deep Core Warlords, but we're going to have all the capitals in for the Deep Core Warlords. Which K-List and Camp. I think the next one would be Odic for the Deep Core. Where are we? I also want Eddie 4 for the Corporate Sector Authority. John, we're making a GC. But yeah, so the Chiss Ascendancy isn't in the mod, so that's why Scylla and none of their planets are. No, Lego. The capital for the Empire of the Hand was Neroon. They're not the same faction as the Chiss Ascendancy. There's nothing written in Orbish. I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of the Greater Maldrude stuff is from a lot of the Warlord stuff was either in Darksaber, the novel, and then most of it came out in the Essential Guide to Warfare and the endnotes for that. A lot of the source books. It wasn't something that was explored a lot within novels and that kind of thing. And we won't know when we almost certainly wouldn't release the Galactic Conquest Editor before 2.2. It's not going to be finished before then. We basically got it to the base functionality that we need to be able to do what we're doing, which isn't super useful to most people who don't already know how to mod. So rather than trying to do a bunch of upkeep for that and a bunch of tech support, we're just going to wait until it's actually done and ready for people to use. So we want Neroon for the Empire of the Hand. We want Enzoth for the Yavitha. We want... who else was there? Or if you haven't already, will you make a GC where every planet is available, maybe in some idea of equal footing or Empire War GC? So we are going to make one that has almost every planet available. I'll probably stream that as well, but there's a lot of issues where a lot of planets occupy similar positions on the map, so we can't have everything on the map, or else it would be literally unplayable. So we're basically just going to go as high as we can while still having it function. It'd be really laggy though for anyone who doesn't have basically a supercomputer. So we can't get it's going to be something where it's just in the mod. We'll put a lot of disclaimers on it that if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Or like if it's really laggy, it's really laggy. There's not going to be much we can do about that. And basically a play at your own risk kind of thing. We probably wouldn't be able to do too much story scripting in it, just because it'd be super complicated. But I think we've got all the capital planets. Will you have... or my favorite faction? I like the Empire of the Hand, both lore-wise and playing-wise, really. I'm pretty sure Neroon is how it's pronounced. I don't think it's ever been said out loud anywhere. Talon Card really didn't have a faction. He's already a New Republic hero, and like the Smugglers Alliance was just, they didn't really control planets or have a big fleet. They were just some smugglers that operated, and a lot of those characters are in for the New Republic. So how many do we have here? We have Bastion, so there's 1, 2 for Intrala, 3 for Neroon, 4 for Eddie, 5 for Dathomir, 6 for Centaurus, 7 for Hapes, 8 for Coruscant, 9 for Inzoth, 10 for Odic, 11 for Kalis, 12 for Camp, 13 for Akasi. I think we've got all the capitals we need. 12 or 13 for Idu. Mon Cal isn't a capital. The Secular won't be available to the Imperial Remnant. They have enough ships. It's going to be available to a lot of the Warlords, though. Like the Pentastar alignment. Alright, so I think that's all the capitals we need. We do need Sereno, because that was the capital for Zinja's Empire before he did the whole Dathomir thing. So what we need to do now... is there anything else? Are there any factions that I missed? Corporate Sector Authority, Zinj we have, Greater Maldrude we have, Pentastar Alignment we have, Empire of the Hand we have, Yavitha we have, Hapens we have, Zero Command and the later Greater Maldrude stuff we have, Right Authority we have. I think that's everything. So the next thing, we will be covering Megador and Dominion. We have some other plans for them later on. They probably will be Bellators in 2.2, but that's all Era 5 stuff, and we haven't done the overview post for that yet, which is like that's why we haven't talked about it yet. Saijo, no. I guess we'll put in Antimeridian and Elrude because they're technically factions. I'm gonna have to pull up the spreadsheet on one of my other windows here, just to make sure we're getting the some of the minor factions capitals as well. Zero Command. Okay, Zero Command is K-list. Antimeridius, we have. Rentiox Dominion was on Morja. Okay, so we need Morja. I have not seen the Shore Troopers in Battlefront Commander. Well, Alamar, they were arguing for years to get a patch for Empire at War. They just released 2, and they're putting out a 3rd, I'm pretty sure. So you can't really say they don't support Empire at War. Alright, so we need Morja. That's one that I wouldn't have chosen to put in on my own. Alright, so all Imperial factions have access to the Executor class, while some be restricted to the Bellators. The Greater Maldrude is only going to have access to Bellators. The Pentastar Alignment is only going to have Bellators and then Reaper as a hero. So they won't be able to build Executors, but... The Siruvi aren't in the mod, Christian. So I don't need to put their capital in. Why they're not here. They'd be on Luek. Well, the thing with that is it's not really Petroglyph's decision. I feel like they wanted to do more. It's that EA and Disney wouldn't want to. And Richard, we've already split off Jarek from the Vengeance. They're both still going to be there. It's just it's too OP if we keep them having 2 free SSDs available from the start. But anyways, I'm going to go back through and we're going to get the major shipyards. So we want Bilbringi is going to start off for the Imperial Remnant. We want the Roche Asteroid Fields. We definitely want for the for Greater Maldrude. We want Sullust and Sluis Van for the Rebels, or for the New Republic, and for the Rat Authority. There's been change any individual unit, then yeah, the answer is yes, there's been changes. Like the fact that infantry now runs while shooting is something that commandos will benefit from. Then there's going to be other stuff that we haven't shown or talked about. So I guess technically yes. We're going to want Mon Calamari. Let's get all the transitory mists. So let's get actually all the Hapen planets we want. So I think that's going to be Terraphon, Cheruba, and probably just Terraphon and Cheruba for this one. So let's get that in, and that'll be everything we need for the Hapens. That'll be them completely done. Cheruba and Terraphon. Then we'll want Kuat and Fondor. The NR capital, when they start, would really depend on when you say they're starting. Like a lot of their stuff's going to be on Endor at that point, so we'll probably plug Endor in. And there's a lot of these planets that are going to be active down here. So let's just put Endor in right now. We have Intrala. I think that's a lot of the major shipyards we've got already. We're going to want Liana and probably Liana de Severo for Zinj. So let's get those two plugged in next. Severo. D. Severo and Liana. Different factions' capitals are so close. Isn't that a problem? Not. It's based on lore stuff. So even if it was a problem, we can't, like, assigning them different capitals wouldn't really make sense. The only reason the warlords are in the mod is for lore reasons. It's not because they're super unique factions. And there's nothing that really makes the capitals more valuable. You can build the capital buildings, and they usually start there, but you can move them wherever. And usually we try to design the trade routes around having relatively equal access to factions. So even if stuff is physically close, we can sort of fudge around with it in the actual placement of trade routes. Plus, a lot of the ones that are really close were the stuff in the core, which is the later on capitals that the warlords had. So even though it looks like Odic, Camp, and Kaelist were really close to Enzoth and Coruscant, they aren't technically the capitals they start off with. They're just lore important planets that became the capitals later. There are no plans related to the Sea Ruby right now. We want Munilents for them. We're going to need... what was the J planet called? Jameis. Let's get Gabrador, Dantooine, and Yaga Minor in for the Penistar right now. Actually, do we want all of them? There are not a lot of the GCs. We're going to leave Gabrador out, I think. We'll get... So with Grant's defection, he just gave information that essentially led to the death of Artus Kane. So we actually have that represented. If you watch the Shadowhand playthrough I did, there's a lore event that relates to that sort of kills off Artus Kane. But he didn't join the New Republic to actively serve, so he wouldn't be a hero for them. He just wanted to retire and everyone to leave him alone, which is sort of what he wanted with... It's sort of what he wanted with joining the PA in the first place. Skytech, this is a tool we're actually developing within the team. You can't download it from anywhere yet. We're going to release it once the tool is finished. This is actually an old version because the new version that has slightly better coding behind it and some different features it doesn't have a GUI yet, so it's not usable. And we don't want to release the tool before it's actually ready for people to use it. It helps right now. It's very useful for picking the planets and setting up the trade routes, but you can't do the unit stuff, and there's still a lot of knowledge you have to have about how to edit the code. So it's not super useful for people who don't already have that background and wouldn't know how to make the GCs in the first place. We're going to want Yavin. I've never considered the Praetor especially Dorito-like, no. Oh, we're going to want Nalhutta too. That's technically a capital. So we have Nalhutta. We're going to want Ylesia for the same reason. Not for the same reason, but because it's in the right place. We'll get to Sucha as well in Kessel. So, we need Biss. We need Dasucha. And I guess we will put in Gabrador for that one. But I just don't want to have... We're trying to have some of the planets more spaced out, so in different GCs you can have different Like it's not all the same regardless of which GC you're playing. It would be cool to see the different factions with different colors in the stream so people can see the important features of each planet. Well, again, this is a very early in development tool where there's a lot of stuff we want to add, like doing the faction affiliations and the unit placements, which would later show up in the actual editor. But like I said, this is very early on, so it's really just picking the planets and doing the trade routes. So I can't really show that right now. This is like I'm just streaming the program as it is, basically. Onager Past is a fairly important shipyard. We don't want to have too many shipyards that are too accessible for any individual faction. Either out of fire. Will there be from the ground up in 2.2? Yes. So all the factions will have a version of from the ground up in 2.2. And no, we have absolutely no plans to put in the Sun Crusher. That thing is ridiculous. Yeah, we did need Kessel and the Maw. I think those are the next two we'll plug in here. Then I'm going to export it and take a look at it to see exactly how many planets we're at. We do need Typhera, so I'll leave that checked. And then we'll sort of plan how many planets are available for each faction around that. So we're going to drop out of the program temporarily. So new GC, we're going to call it Art of War. In the campaign set Art of War. Do that and we save, and then that should export it. So I'm just going to go grab that. Whether the World Devastator will be able to devastate worlds is dependent on your definition of devastating worlds. So maybe, yes? I forget where this saves to. Conquest. No? The thing with the Sun Crusher is it is literally invincible. It can destroy anything and never be destroyed. So that's not the best thing to code in. Where does this export to? I cannot remember. Is it in XML? Ah, that's what I should use. Date modified. Box, save me. So I'm pretty sure it exports to here, so. It died by them flying into a black hole in the Maw. So really not something we can reliably recreate in the mod. And then Kip Durin had to like go into stasis. That wing stream, when we did the 3D modeling stream, that was painful. We didn't plan it properly. I need to do that again when I've actually thought about it more beforehand. Me and Slever did not do enough planning beforehand for that. I think there was also a bug in the... Oh, hi Pox. Pox, save me. Pox. Like, I think there was a bug in the initial release of Forces of Corruption where when there was enemy fleets incoming, it said, is Alamari cage constructing? Which was always fun. The way we do this GC, there's going to be the Art of War, which is this really large one. Then we have the 50 planet version. The big difference between this one that we're building right now and the 2.11 is that the 2.11 didn't have all the factions. We only had all the factions in the Essence of War, I'm pretty sure, and also we had fewer factions. So it's probably going to be a bit more of a crazy start in this one. Because before it was like 25 planets between, or 25 planets each for all the factions, a few less because there was still one or two smaller things. But in this we have all 8 playable factions and then 2 or 3 non-playable factions, plus all the event stuff. So it's going to be kind of crazy to get right. Where does it go? I may have to just sync this. Yeah, that'd probably work. I cannot hear you, Pox. You are muted. I usually don't eat while I'm modding. I usually don't eat. I don't know about the funniest bug. Usually any big bugs are just too annoying to be funny at the time. Like we've got one right now from the multi-layer changes, which are making ships invulnerable, which is, I guess, funny, but more annoying than funny. All right, now save that. You jerk. Oops. Well, like I said, there's the 8 playable factions, and then there's stuff like Zero Command, maybe the Huts, Apens. There's 3 already, and then like Antimeridian and El Rude. There's 5 non-playable, which I think brings us up to like 13. And then there's anything we add in the future. Okay, where is the save function here? I'm gonna have to look in the code to see where it's saving to. Now I can
Hey,
hear
what
you.
about now?
Yes, I
Nice.
can hear you.
Yeah, I think my microphone's broken. I hooked up my laptop now.
Fox, I am not able to find where this is saving to.
Should save.
Isn't it just supposed to be the main directory?
Yeah, should save to the directory the executable is in.
The solution file or the executable?
No, the should be in debug bin, I guess.
Object debug, no.
Okay, wait, let me check.
Yeah, I saw the Thrawn book, Lakar. The first one was good, so I'm hoping the second one's gonna be good too. I'm going to try to create a trade route, and then I'll see if that saves the thing I wanted to save to.
Okay, so I think the XML file should be in Galactic Conquest Editor GUI bin debug, and I think it should be in
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I found it. Now I've got 7 entries in it because I clicked save so many times. Alright, so now I can actually continue what I was doing after 7 minutes of me not knowing what I was doing. Alright, thank you.
Right.
I'm going to switch the window so you can all see my fantastic notepad. There we go. Tobias, that's actually an engine bug. So it wouldn't be something we can really do anything about. And there have always been Haven Battle Dragons, Cade. Okay, so these are the planets we have so far. I'm gonna plug them in over here. So we have 50 of the planets already. We might end up going a little bit above the 100. So I'm gonna do it this way. Brem, new rep. You're all gonna have to deal with me typing. I'm not sorry at all. Yay. So before we actually do any more editing within the GC editor, we're going to take a look at what actually belongs to each faction. And we'll try to assign it based on that. Then we're also going to try to assign it based on the spacing on the map. So we want to have all the story relevant planets. We also want to have some of the planets that are picked just so they can fill specific spots on the map. So there's not huge gaps in the territory, and also so there's not like one faction that controls way too many planets or way too few. Singe. And we also want to have it a little bit based on which were more powerful at the time. So some factions would get disproportionately more planets. Some will get a bit less. We want to have Yavitha. And we'll put in stuff for the huts as well. And Parentioch. And who else did I say? We want Antum and Rude. Zero Command. So Zero Command technically won't start with any planets. They are an emergent faction. So they emerge after Isard loses control of, or after Saint Pestage loses control of Coruscant. It's still within Era 1, but some of the eras are split up into 2 sections. The first 3 eras actually are. So Era 1 is split between Pestage and Isard, so if the Remnant loses Coruscant or you voluntarily take the Lusankya out of Coruscant, that's how you switch between the first 2 parts of that. There's the part with Thrawn where if Thrawn dies, it doesn't necessarily go straight to Palpatine. You still need to do some other story stuff to get Palpatine to come in. But what happens is if Thrawn dies before you've done the stuff to get Palpatine to come in, is you lose control of the Kutric hegemony, which is another faction that's only emergent. And within Era 3, when Palpatine dies, you go into Karnor Jax and Kirkanos instead of going directly onto Era 4. So there's a lot more that goes into that. And there's a lot more emergent factions that can come in depending on which sort of set of events happens, which makes it all way more likely to crash, which is fantastic. Alright, so how many factions is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So like I said, Zero Command won't actually start with any planets, so I'm going to put them at the bottom. They're going to emerge on K-List, I think it was. The CSA starts with planets and can re-emerge if they get taken over by Zinj, but then Zinj dies. But what we'll do right now is we will just grab all these planets, we're going to put them into their factions, so we know which ones belong where. Missed 1, 2, and 3 obviously are Hapens. They're going to have the most planets right now. With all your mods, which are the most up-to-date in terms of progress? Well, right now, most of us are just focusing on ICW. We already had the Ascendancy release in July, and there's some balancing patches we're going to be doing to that. But until we get on to 2.3, we're not going to be working on the Hapens, because they're going to be something that needs to be worked on for 2.3 as well as 1.2 for Ascendancy. And at the same time, I'm going to be working on Fall of the Republic stuff, because a lot of that stuff ends up coming out of the same resource pool. So anytime people ask how Fall of the Republic is doing, it's not doing, because we are building that off of the released version of 2.2. I have some files related to it that I was just playing around with for the announcement video, but it's not really a mod that you can play yet. It's the collection of assets plus all the work that's going into 2.2 rather than doing everything twice. Where are you, Hapes? I didn't do this in alphabetical order.
Something weird just happened.
What did you break?
I moved the fleet in what am I playing? Baghdad War. Like the starting fleet was Akbar.
Yep.
And I moved it to the next planet, and it didn't start a battle.
There's a separate bug related to that we fixed before. Hopefully it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you fixed it already. I'm on an earlier commit before we removed the multi-layer stuff. Oh, okay. Yay, I have the invincibility bug.
Yeah, so it's definitely multi-layer, but it's any ships that you bring in, any ships that come in after the battle starts, so anything that actually uses the jump-in behaviors.
Yeah. Let's see.
Calamari, you go here. Huron, you go
Interesting.
here. Oh, I didn't put in Psycha, so we're going to need Psycha next. I knew I missed one of you. How do you create a GC map? Well, I actually did a video on how to do it just in XML before this editor was a thing. So that's on the channel somewhere. Then eventually you'll be able to use this. I'm going to come out and say it. Prequel memes are awful. Sequel memes are awful. I don't think there's OT memes yet, but they're also going to be awful. In general though, I just don't like memes. These are just going to be Antimeridius and Elrude. CSA, we want Eddy 4. So we may as well actually just enable all the CSA planets that are going to be there, because it's just going to be the 4 or 5 of them that are up here. So we want Bonadin, Eddy 4, and not Orbaneer. We want Telos and Ession. Those are going to be... Not you, Brental. I'm sure you'll be in the GC. You need to calm down, though. Bonadin, Ession, Telos. Not you, Eilshaw. There. So I'll just add those to the list right now while we're looking at it. Elacart. DeSevero and Dathomir. These are both going to be Zinj. I'm not sure if Desucha at this point would have been under the control of the Hutts or the New Republic. I'm going to just put it in with the Hutts for now. Then I'll switch that over if I have to later, just to get it set up. I think Elysia is going to be the only other planet for the Hutts right here. We got Nalhutta. Enzoth needs to go in with the Aviza. Did I not put a section for the Aviza on here? Well, it looks like I'm not going to be able to look at the chat for another hour and a half. Y'all just want to get it all out of your system, and then I'll get back to looking at it. Yeah, Starkiller, like the Force Unleashed is part of the Legends timeline, but it's before the mod takes place. It's before Endor. Is there a way to edit the XML and share it without needing to include the original file? Let's say hypothetically I might be making a mod that changes the unit scale to a smaller size in the XML. You only need to include whatever files are edited, but you do have to include the whole file. I forget which planet I copied when in... no, Enzoth. Oh, there we go. Evita. Perfect. Right. Kuat, Castle, Camp, and Kalis. These are all, I think, going to be Imperial controlled at the start. So is Coruscant. Because I don't think a lot of the Deep Core warlords had really taken their stuff yet. We don't want them to be too spread out. Unilist is EA. So the Remnant's going to have a lot of stuff in the core, which makes sense. Then a lot of the Warlord stuff is going to be fighting the New Republic out in the Outer Rim and Mid Rim. The odd stormtroopers are the sergeants within the Empire of the Hand infantry companies. And Fondor would also be Imprem. Sluis Van would be the Arido Authority, so we're going to have that. Obviously Arido will be for them as well. Gabrador, you are PA. Onager would be Imperial Remnant. So it looks like we're going to have a lot of the Imperial Remnant planets already in off the hop there. Raidu. I saw Endor up there. None of that spacing really matters. This is just for organization in in the stream, just so it's a bit more presentable and you can have a bit better of an idea what's going on with that. Because none of this is actually going to end up in the code. On Typhera, go there. Sullust is going to be New Republic. So the New Republic will have a lot of planets that are kind of spread out. It's going to be, I think Yavin at this point was back under Imperial control, so it went to Zinj right away. So I'm not really going to be going to Wikipedia and checking the specifics for this stuff. I'm just looking for basic setup, and then once it's all plugged in and tied together, I'll go back through when I'm doing the starting forces, and I will do the proper planet alignments then. This should just have a rough idea of what's going to go on. So anything that you see that looks incorrect, don't worry, I will double check it. There is no need to have any sort of Star Wars lore-based heart attacks, really at any point if you're going to be a sensible person, but especially not right now. I know that's hard for some people, but we got you. Bye, cookies. It's treason then. Is that what everyone wants? Is everyone happy now? What planet did I just copy? Roche. And Trala, you belong to the PA. So really for the major factions, we're going to look for an average of 10 planets, I think, 8 to 10. And then the rest sort of weighted based on how big they should have been at the time. But where are you? There we go. So Greater Maldrud will always be a little bit smaller. Zinj will be a little bit bigger. PA will be sort of medium-sized. Imperial Remnant will be a bit larger. Because while the Empire was bigger, it's just a lot of that territory was split up between the warlords pretty quickly. So this one is going to be set like right after the Battle of Endor, but around when they got themselves established a bit more. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the PA. That's not a bad start. This is a New Republic shipyard, Hast. I don't know if we're actually going to keep Hast in this, because that's going to be a lot of shipyards for the New Republic right off the start of the GC. But they do have a lot of their stuff pretty spread out. Though Hast is very close to Mon Calamari, which might be too powerful for Zinj. Elrude goes to Elrude. Elysia we already have for the Hutts. Coruscant we already have for the Remnant. Biss and Bilbringi, you go... Not too bad, Cisco. How are you? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Antimeridian goes on Antimeridian. Okay, perfect. So let's take a look at what we have so far. We have 13 for them. We have 5 for the New Republic. 2 for the Empire of the Hand. 6 for the Pentastar alignment. 2 for the Greater Maldrud. 2 for Arido. 5 for Zinj. 6 for the Hapens. Alright, so let's get 4 or 5 more for the Avitha. And that'll be good for this bottom half of the sheet here. I'm gonna... No more notepad for you guys. What do we want for the Avitha? Enzoth. 2, 3, 4. So we get Dornick, ILC, Jetpatan, Zafel, Polnai. All those should be enabled. I think that'll be good. Those would be the next ones. Dornick. The next one is ILC. The next one would be Jibitipiton, then pull 9, then Zafel. Yeah, I don't hate the Supremacy as much. I really don't like the Mandator 4. I also don't like that they called it the Mandator 4. Because they could have just had... like, the Mandator 1 through 3 were in Legends, but none of them ever got designed, so if you really wanted to do a ship like that, make a better design for one thing, and tie it to one of the 3 existing ones. Make my life easier. Because the Mandators are supposed to look like the Bellator. And that thing does not look like the Bellator, which means the Mandator 4 looks different from any of the previous ones, which doesn't help us at all. I'm going to get rid of these spaces between the factions, just so I can always know exactly how many planets we're at. You guys can look at this again. Right, so we're at 72, minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're at 58. Perfect. Because we just need to add, I think we're going to go with 8. We're going to start with 8 for the Greater Maldrude. Let's pick some planets around them. Intermeridius is going to be around them. So we want Rivester and Metalorn. Let's get Rivester and Metalorn in here first. Rivester, and I don't know if the program sorts them by alphabetical order, if it's just in alphabetical order because we have it that way in the files. I don't think we sorted it all in the list, right, Box?
I don't think so.
So in any mod that's not as well organized as ours, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah, I think the list boxes will show it in alphabetical order, but it
Never
just
mind.
saved in alphabetical order because that's the order it was read. Because all our planets are already sorted, I think.
All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, that was an easy fix.
The invulnerability is fixed?
Yeah.
Really?
Just fix it in the dumbest way possible.
Isn't that usually how it goes, though?
Yeah, you want to know what I did?
What did you did?
I added a line object dot make invulnerable false.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? That is so dumb. Wait, does the so I guess that cinematic hyperspace thing must involve making it invulnerable. So I guess that's... Were we using that line before?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so it's not that.
I think it must have been the cancel, the hyperspace cancel that I used to prevent the double jump. That's the only new line there that's in here. So yeah, I guess.
Huh. That is so dumb.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so I think that's as far down as we're going to go for that. Charos. I don't think we want Charos. We don't want Bimasari. Bimasari's in every fucking GC. You can. Alright, so I'm sure the testers will love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many did I have here? Centauris, Avian. Do we really want... No, we don't want Avian. Why Avian? Centauris, Metalorn, Roche, Rivester, Contrum. What else? Thanos. Thanos Tagoria. Joe Mark. Five, six, seven, eight. Okay, perfect. I think that's good for the Greater Maldrude. And let's do the PA next. That is what we're going to be starting as. We want Ord Tracy, Anx Minor. Well, what do they have right now? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll have to get Orinda. Let's use Stern Padel. Boros. Probably not Boros. Boros is in too much. Which one is Orinda? Could have swore it was higher up here, but... Well, Orinda's going to be in a lot of the other ones, so probably just save Orinda for Imperial Civil War. Unless it's overlapping something? I might just have my perspective off here. No, let's go with Ord Veneer. Ord Veneer for sure. Ord Veneer, Tracy. Ord Veneer and Ord Tracy. Actually, I think I'm going to pick 2 more planets for them as well. Let's do some lower value planets. Maybe Hauska. We'll probably give them a lot of access to Zinja's territory, or like vice versa. Let's get Hauska 4 in there. I don't think Hauska's ever been used in any of the GCs in the mod. Hauska and Anx Minor will do. Hello there, Mad Doctor. So we'll do the Empire of the Hand next. We can basically pick whichever we want with the Empire of the Hand, which is always nice. But I want to give them some of the southern ones. So Amrak, Riet, Rygar, Sarvchi. Well, how many do they have total? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we can do all of them. Amrak, Riet, Kariak. Amrak. Any of them in the C? I thought there was a C one. Rygar, Sarvchi. Rustai, there we go. Rustai. Kariak. Is it possible for you to give special ships to the New Republic? Define special ships. Oristrom. Rygar. That's one. Yep, Rygar and Riet. And it's what? Just Sarvchi, RS. Sarvchi and Quethel. Okay, perfect. I didn't miss any. Well, like I said, so this isn't even the build that we're using internally. This is an old build, which just had the most basic functionality possible. So the one we actually use later on in release will have a ton more functionality than this. This is really just the absolute basics that we could get working to help with development. And like, as slow as this may seem like it's going, this process would take like most of the week, as opposed to just the hour or so we've been streaming here. It was terrible. Okay, Amrak, Sarvchi, Kariak, Riet, Oristrom, Quethold. Well, Mad Doctor, plenty of ships do have new special abilities we've already shown. We're not going to make anything that can really like just call in random ships, I don't think. But yeah, stuff like micro jumps now. We have the Golan's repositioning. We have single unit retreat. So there's a lot more new abilities that are in 2.2, and then some more that we have planned in 2.3. We also have the boarding stuff, which we haven't shown yet, but is essentially done.
Do you have the units already?
Yeah, it's just Golan's, right? So.
What? No, I mean for boarding.
Yeah, or not Golan's. What are those? Gallifrey.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's all we wanted there. Well, not really repositioning, but they rotate. You can tell them to rotate, so they bring their guns to face wherever you want them to, we won't have them like flying around. That would look super weird. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which one did I forget? Did I forget Sarvji? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hagar, Riet, Orstrom, Quethold, Kariak, Sarvji, Amrak. Melonface, the only reason we did it that way in 2.1 was because having more factions contributes more to the selection freeze problem. And when we made the 2.1 versions of Art of War and Essence of War, we didn't even have the defreezer that Pox and Frege made. So it was like we basically had to do it that way, or else it wouldn't work at all. Because the more you have, the more factions you have, the more each planet is going to switch hands, the more battles are going to take place, and the more units are going to exist. So by compressing it into fewer factions, we were able to reduce the amount of fighting that went on in NEGC. I think it was the 2.0 build where we had all the factions on the map at once, and they were all active. And what would happen with that is you get to like week 40 and the selection freeze would occur, which was just terrible. Palpatine, there wouldn't really be a way to do that was properly functional. Like, we'd have to make it an ability to, like, we'd have to remove building golems from the galactic map and have it be something you just do in the tactical battle, which would be super weird. Well, Jay, you can already get 2.1 and the 2.2 demo from the Steam Workshop, so we do plan to continue including Steam Workshop support for 2.2. Alright, so we have all these now. So we're at 90, which means we're really at 75. We're getting close to how many we want as a baseline. So it looks like we're probably going to have to go a bit above 100 for this. Let's get back to the editor. Let's see what the actual layout looks like. Okay, so we're going to want to do Zinj next. We want to plug in some of this area and then a Raidu so we can have some more down here. And then we'll fill in the New Republic planets based on that. But we're probably going to end up going to about 115, 120. Yeah, Mad Doctor, we don't include any... The only place where we include non-canon stuff is where we have to create it ourselves for some of the factions that are less well fleshed out. Like how we had to create a lot of the Empire of the Hand roster and how we're going to flesh out the Hapen roster in ICW and Ascendancy with some of that kind of thing, where we're making a bunch of different Battle Dragon types and all that. What do we need for Zinj? Let's check out how many planets we have for Zinj. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're probably going to want to go up to like 12 planets for Zinj at least. Let's get some of the more lore important ones. We need Q-Trek actually as an Imperial planet, so let's add that to the Empire right now before I forget. A lot of these planets in that area are Q-Trek hegemony planets for the Isard's Revenge GC. So I gotta make sure I don't assign those to the PA or something. Yeah, I think we did spell Q-Trick wrong. Yeah, for the Venator, we're using the one we've used for Ascendancy for a long time. It was the one that's in the 2.2 demo, I'm pretty sure, and it's definitely the one that was in the Fall of the Republic announcement video. Same thing with the Lucre Hulk. Furious clicking commences. Alright, we do want to put in Mandalore, I think. Yeah, we'll put in Mandalore. This means we need to do this. I'm pretty sure Titan-class Star Destroyer isn't a thing. Right, I'm going to take a look at some of the Hunt for Zinj stuff. I'll probably grab a lot of the planet list from that. XML, Conquest, Zinj, there we go. Alright, which one of these planets? We need probably Garros and Junction, because they're more important. Let's get Garros and Junction in there next. Garros. And Junction. Four, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we'll do 5 or 6 more for sure. Maybe, yeah, we'll do Eel Shaw. So we have a way to connect the Pentastar alignment to them. Eel Shaw and Tangren. Actually, Tangren's probably in too many GCs. But it is kind of important. So yeah, we'll put it in. Eel Shaw, nope, you guys are staying. Eel Shaw and Tangren. Yeah, Zabathon. All the factions will be. I remember when I saw someone was going to make a mod covering all eras from the Sith Wars to the Second Imperial Civil War, but that would be impossible to do. Yeah, that's overly optimistic. Especially if they're actually going to create any of the content themselves, instead of just basically steal it. I think this is as far in as we can go. What is Vros for? I'm going to look that up. Apparently they're not a thing. Oh, that was probably one of the planets that Slorny couldn't spell. So yeah, Rocinri. Okay, that's Kutric hegemony. So we'll add that in for Kutric. We'll have those as the only 2 Kutric hegemony planets in this, probably. It's going to be a little bit difficult for them to defend. Would Corvus be Kutric, or would that be Zinj? Corvus was a male human smuggler. That is not what I wanted. Corvus Minor System. Okay, that was part of the Kutric hegemony as well. So the thing we want to decide here, I feel like if we do Corvus for the hegemony, it's good to have that third planet for them, and it'll be good for the Imperial Remnant up here. But it'll cut off a lot of the access between Zinj and the PA, which is kind of what we want to fight there. Zabathon, there will be more planets down south. It's just we've been focusing on getting the... We did Greater Maldrud, then Empire of the Hand, then PA, and now we're doing Warlord Zinj. So once we actually get to the Arado Authority in the New Republic, that'll be a lot more in the south. But right now, it's we've just been focusing on the northern factions, which is why it's all northern planets right now. I'm going faction by faction, essentially. So I think we'll do Axilla and Terrace, maybe? Terrace, Bandamir, and Axilla will probably be the ones we do. Axilla, Bandamir, and Terrace. Because Zinj's planets ended up being like sort of a pizza slice. We even have Terrace in the mod? I thought we did. Okay, so not Terrace. Bandamir, Axilla. I guess we'll have to go with Solagus is probably a good one to do. That'll be good for Zinj, I think. At least for the first phase here. Phase, not phage. Put my notepad back up. Terrace had recovered quite a bit since the KOTOR stuff. So I think we're at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we have 16. So we're at 85 so far. Apparently Terrace isn't in the mod. Alright, so now I think we are safe to head down into the Zero Command territory. Or not Zero Command. Arado Authority. Is this Elrude? Yeah, that's Elrude. So let's get Travis. Actually, I'm going to open the file for our Empires at War GC. Or no, we'll do the Warlords one. You ever considered making a wish list for an Empire at War 2 if it ever happened? No, not really. I prefer to just think about the world without Empire at War 2. Makes things simpler. I doubt it would be very modder friendly, so it would probably mean we wouldn't continue modding, and I'm mostly just concerned about modding with it. So I don't know that there's anything like specific stuff I'd want them to do. So eh. Alright, what did we give to... Okay, we want I2, Clakdor, Glomtho, Glova, Mustafar. Mustafar for sure. And Sinraf 6, Utapau. Let's see what those end up looking like. Utapau, Sinraf 6, Glova, and Glomtho. Well, it wouldn't necessarily mean that EA makes it directly. It would just mean that they're publishing it, because they can still sort of subcontract out to other places. Petroglyph, I'm pretty sure they've talked about how they approached EA wanting to make either a sequel or another expansion, and EA said no. So I don't think they're that concerned about making a new RTS at any point soon. I2 and Von Ark. Did we give them Von Ark? I think we did. Yeah, I2, Von Ark, Yagdal, Runa. I think that brings it further in towards the core, which is what we want. But Ia2 and Von Ark are definitely the next two we're going to put in here. F this up.
Is Rogue Survival Map already in?
I think he put in the two for the Empire of the Hand and the Pentastar alignment. There's some script issues with the Pentastar alignment survival stuff, so we'll have to take a look at that. But I edited the maps for the New Republic and Imperial Remnant to put the stations back in, so they're at least working.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try those out.
Well, Zero, the Petroglyph's done a ton of games since then, but this would have been several years ago, I think, that they approached EA about that. We want Yag. I think we do want Yagdal because it's a bit more story. So Yagdal we're going to throw in as well. Oh, up here. And we haven't turned on Mustafar yet, so we're going to get that next. So a lot of the New Republic territory will be in this area. I think we want a Travis as well. A Travis. And that's a New Republic. That's going to be New Republic, I think. Yeah, let's get a Travis in here. Atravis. Have you ever thought about adding in Yuzon Vong, as they would be a very interesting concept? We'd be happy to expand the timeline for that, so that's not the reason. It's just they are such a huge resource investment when there's a ton of stuff within the timeline that we already have to deal with. So it's adding in another faction that, especially with the functionality they require, would be very different from any other faction. So getting a good representation of them without making them overpowered would take more resources than any other faction. Plus, they wouldn't be in that many GCs. So it's not really something that's on our radar right now. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we want maybe one or two more. Viverin, Fash, no, Exocron, Vergesso, Rhodia. Probably not any of that. Maybe we'll put in Tatooine. I think that would be more under Corrado Authority's territory at this point. Let's look at the map. Darth Krayt is definitely way too far ahead. That's like 100 years beyond our timeline. any of the New Sith War stuff would be super far ahead. Like, there's some elements of the Yuzon Vong War and the Dark Nest Crisis, and even into the Second Imperial Civil War, that would sort of apply to the timeline. Like, some situations that could have arose in different areas that we'll kind of explore with it, but not quite that far ahead, because that's pretty much stuck into its own timeline. But for example, in Ascendancy, even something like the Dark Nest Crisis, that all that situation could have occurred beforehand, even though it wasn't until post Vong War when it actually did occur. But the Killiks did have their own ships, and them kind of going space Nazis could have happened before. So that would be something that's like not entirely out of the question for either a random event in Ascendancy, or maybe put on into an Empire of the Hand specific GC where there's like some Killik fleets or some Siruvi fleets or some crap that you had to destroy before taking some other stuff, hypothetically. All right, do we want any of those planets? I don't think so. I think we're pretty good on a lot of this EA stuff. So I'm going to look up in Vergesso Asteroid and see if there was any other stuff that happened there. I think it was just invented by Empire at War. No, it was in Shadows of the Empire. Never mind. Alright, so I think we'll actually give that to the Erato Authority. Because they were technically retaken by the Empire, and that's the last thing you hear of it. So they're in the right place to be under the Erato Authority's control. Alright, so that's good for, I think, most of these factions. We have 110, 111 minus 15, so like 96. Actually, no, 16, so 95. We'll add 5 more Rebel planets right now. By Rebel, I mean New Republic. Oh, we gotta have Katana Space. Because we are going to have the Katana Fleet event in the Art of War if we can swing it. Probably just in the New Republic and Imperial Remnant version, but I want to have it there just to be sure. But we'll add Bespin and Saijo for the New Republic right now. Maybe Bespin, Hothbakura, and Saijo? Bespin, Hoth, Bakura, Saijo. Because the New Republic is so spread out, they'll probably have a few more planets than we have given them before. Just so they can survive, but... yeah, there's no plans to give Rebels anymore, or New Republic anymore, stuff like that. Hey Corey, any good resources for learning how to edit Lua? My resource for learning how to edit Lua is in the chat with me right now. Really, just... it's...
okay, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, if you look at any of the Lua scripts included with TR or with other mods, just to see what specific Lua stuff there is, there's also the Stargate mod team has made a guide to Lua with some of the functions, just a lot of notation on it, saying what all the functions are, but really it's any kind of basic programming knowledge you can get would apply here. So if you just look up any sort of programming tutorials, any sort of programming basics, and then you sort of learn the Empire at War specific Lua functions, you'll be in decent shape, I guess. But Pox, if you want to...
yeah, I mean, you probably should know some programming, and if you're gonna look at a guide for Sharp, that's not really gonna help you with Lua, I think.
Well,
The languages are too different. There's a book called Programming in Lua, and the first edition is free online. I'm gonna link it in chat. And oh, I'm not allowed to link stuff in chat. But yeah, just Google programming in Lua. You will find it, and yeah, it basically explains how you do stuff in Lua. And once you get this, you can start editing Empire Lore files.
Alamar says Lua/XML is pure copy pasting half the time. That is not true for Lua.
Yeah, no, Lua is actually scripting.
Here, I'll open up. I'm gonna put the XML file back, or the notepad thing back up here, and we're gonna take a look at. This is some of the code for our boarding ability. And you really wouldn't get that kind of thing out of copy pasting. Even just like the base game ones. Like with XML, a lot of it is copy pasting because you just need the unit templates and then it's just change value here or there. But with Lua, you're actually trying to get specific stuff out of it. You're not going to have any sort of generic just recopy this and edit some values. But yeah, so I'm back to the thing. We do want to have so let's get Rhodia in there, Bothawi. Rhodia, Bothawi for sure. Rhodia. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Not bad. Corellia we gave them. Duro. I think we will give them Chardon. There might be too many capital shipyards that they end up with. Wait, do we have Chardon as a capital shipyard? I don't think so. Maybe not. We'll give them Thalassia and Chardon. I don't know if we want to give them Chandrilla, because it's kind of a... It'd help with the population density up there, but it's pretty far removed from a lot of their other stuff. And Chandrilla is going to be in a lot of other GCs. We'll just stick with Thalassia and Chardon. Yeah, those other words I said. I do want to put Duro into the GC, so we'll get Duro. I think they're going to be New Republic. No, we will not have buildable Ewoks on Endor, unfortunately. Cothalis and Ryloth, I think we'll add there as well. Alright, so the next part we're going to do is try to fill in some of this area. How many of those planets are really important? I don't think Kalarba, it's... Yeah, Kalarba isn't that important for this. New Cove isn't that important. Dara, none of these are super important. So we think we're good for the most part down here. Exocron we might need to put in just for... We'll leave it empty, but I think we might need it for some events. Or maybe not. I'll leave Exocron out for now. Lantos isn't necessary. Pacrick Minor. Probably won't need that either. I'd like to get one or two more planets in this area. So maybe Meridun and Findar. Findar for Zinj, Meridun for the Greater Maldruid. Unless, I can't remember if Meridun would have been Zinj or Maldruid at that point, but we'll do it that way. Just for now. We're not actually assigning any plant or any units just yet. This is just for organizational purposes. P, we have Findar. Then is here. Malastare would be more important during the Clone Wars. So it'll be in Fall of the It's one of the planets that I'm 99% sure is in Fall of the Republic, but we won't be using it for anything in Imperial Civil War. And Sam, we won't be doing anything with the First Order. It would be completely different factions, completely different units. It's not something that any of the content would help any of the other GCs in the mod. Like a Disney canon mod would have to be its own standalone thing, and we have way too much work with what we have committed to already. So it's not something that's really on our radar. Okay, we don't need Darkon for this. I really want Arinda, but I don't know where Arinda went. Unless this file was... Hold on. Here we go. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Alright, who controlled it at the start? After the Battle Order... Okay, so that is a remnant planet still. That'll be helpful, because it'll help... I want to have some planets that link up their core territories to the Kutric hegemony up here. So... Levian... I think that would be a New Republic planet. I'm going to leave out some of those New Republic planets. Neris, Kataris. There will be no zombie Gungans in Fall of the Republic. Fragmentation, grandmother. Okay, so Generis would actually be part of the PA. So let's do that. We'll give them the one extra planet there. I think that's the farthest out the PA goes. So what else do we need in here? Ithor, that would be New Republic. I don't want to put too many New Republic planets up here though. Well, really, there wasn't that much important going on in Ithor yet. So we'll probably leave it out in this GC. It's in a lot of them anyways. So I'll check for Yinkor. Yinkor would be Imperial at this point, so that's perfect. We want Yinkor for the Empire. Arakko. I'm fine with putting any of these central planets in, whether they end up on Zinj or the Imperial Remnant, but the more Imperial Remnant planets we get out of this, it's probably better in this situation. 2 ABY was occupied by the battle. Okay, Arakko would be Imperial Remnant as well. It's also not in my EGCs yet, so I'm going to drop it in here. Arakko for the Imperial Remnant. How many planets are we at now? We're at 112. So I think we'll do 3 more in this area, and then that'll be it. So maybe Podaris, Farfin, and Mrist. Well, let's see what the other options are. Well, Merkur needs to be in there. Probably lock that. Merkur, we do need Wayland as well, I think. Is that right? Yeah, okay, that's actually a perfect position as well. So Merkur and Wayland. Alright. Kuat's already enabled. Kind of missing stuff in this area. Rental, okay, Carda definitely needs to turn on. Maybe Carda and Borleas. Carda, Borleas, Kashyyyk, and I think that's it. Okay, so we have Carda, we have Borleas, we have Kashyyyk. So I'm gonna put the notepad back up. Oh, the notepad has been up for a while. My bad. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. We have 133, so about 118, 117 planets, which is slightly more than I wanted. So we might end up having to cut it down a little bit depending on performance, because that's cutting it close. But this is supposed to be a larger GC, and we're trying to have a few more different scales of Art of War, so it'll be okay. If we end up having to cut one of the factions, that might be an option, but this is the faction outset as it looks right now, plus all this stuff with the emergent factions. So that's good. Alright, so I'm just going to save that. Okay. Just so we have it. And we will start building up the trade routes next. What are you planning on doing? When are you thinking of doing Art of War playthrough? Well, that's kind of why I'm doing this GC build right now, so that we can start the Art of War playthrough fairly soon. I'd like to start it maybe even the end of next week. Let's see. I don't mean by the 4th, but if I can get it started by the 11th, that'd be nice. Maybe by the 4th. I'd have to do a lot all week, but we'll start by just turning on a lot of these trade routes because they're pretty much... We don't want that one. I'm just going to see which one of these that are already there we want. Hanks Minor, do we want that going directly? I don't think we want that. We don't want that for sure. This we may want. Yeah, we want both of those. Exila, yeah, we want that. That one. Probably don't want that one. Don't want that. Do want that. The GC editor has unit power or unit support. I'd like to see it some AI combat power for easier balancing. I think we're definitely planning to show at least PopCap. I don't know if we'd be able to show, or if we want to go in so deep as to show combat power, but that's definitely an option, I think.
Yeah, we could do that.
But it's really just pulling one extra stat from the XML, right? So
yeah.
We just want to make sure we don't like overload the UI with too much information.
I mean, we can have like different little options.
Yeah.
Option screens and stuff like that.
And then like we can also do microtransaction DLC for the GC editor. So if you send me in Pox $6 on PayPal, we'll throw in that.
That's our main priority right now.
Yeah, well, have you coded in the loot crates yet?
No. Not
disappointed.
Yet.
Seems like that's the kind of thing we should have done first.
Yeah, probably.
I can do a little animation, and we can get an animation of the loot crate opening, and then we'll build the program up from there.
Yeah, okay. Doing the art first is always a good idea.
That's way too long of a trade route, so not going to have that one. So bringing up to Nero on. I don't think we want that either. Too much access for the Empire of the Hand. Good, both way costless. Okay. The goal is to use as many of these pre-existing trade routes as we can without being lazy about it. You don't want it to be a mess. One of the main things we look for is trying not to make it so that you can access too many enemy shipyards directly from your starting position, and also trying to make it so that different factions have access to each other rather than just having like one option for the faction. So, for example, like I was saying with the Pentastar alignment earlier, in 2.1, most of their access was directly down to the Empire of the Hand, or through some fairly heavily defended Imperial Remnant stuff. So we want to keep both of those open, but I also want them to have more access up to these Zinj planets in the north. So Zinj will also have a bit more of a difficult time, because a lot of what he's next to ends up being the less defended stuff. So basically Greater Maldrude gets the brunt of everything Zinj, whereas if we have an option for it to open up into, except for like Hast and Mon Calamari up here, but if we have an option for the Pentastar alignment to go into Zinj's territory, then it means Zinj needs to defend both ends of his territory and can't just like mow over Greater Maldrude. So that is my thought process right now when making these routes. You don't want anything that goes through the Ape's territory either. That is supposed to be a natural barrier. A natural space barrier. That's questionable. I don't think we want this. No. Don't want that for sure. We do want that. Do we want Typhera? Yeah, I think we do want Typhera. Or Yagdal. Let's leave it just at Yagdal. Cherubota Hapes, that's good. Cherubota Mist 1, that's good. Don't want Cutrix Dalamar or Cutrix Daenerys. I think we're gonna leave that like that. For the Cutric Hegemony, I want Rhaenys to Daenerys, and I want Cutric Hegemony to Axilla, and then maybe Rhaenys down to Wayland as well. And that'll be it for them. Actually, if we put it into Tangren, is that better? Because that would mean they do have access to both. That could be more difficult for them to defend, which would make it easier for Zinj, I think, which I don't think we want to do. Contram to Garros, we do want that. Contram to Roche, we do want that. Those are both good. Those are good. Good. Let's actually get rid of the Corellia to Hakasi, so it's less accessible for that. And the other thing with Dornick, I think we only want... Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the Dornick to Bilbringi entrance. Because we're going to have... This is supposed to be one star cluster. And I'd rather have the entrance to the Empire of the Hand, the New Republic, or the Empire down here, and the New Republic down here. So we'll have them go to Endor, to Borleas, and to Riet. We'll get rid of the one between Enzoth and Coruscant as well. Was there a Borleas to Enzoth? No. Yes, we'll leave that for now. Coruscant to Odic. All good. Jedi are worse. Sith are better. You mean like old Sith War stuff? Sith are definitely the cooler. I actually like the Republic ship designs better. A lot of the Sith designs are kind of terrible. Ooh, that's kind of... Yeah, we'll leave that on. Get to Severed Liana, that's good. Dornick to Oristrom, that's good. Don't want that. We do want that. What am I turning on and off? Elru to Glova. Oh, that one, yeah. Huh. That I don't think we want. We want... Oh wait, no, that's Katana Space. We definitely do want that. The thing about Endor to Solace is it's good for a lore-based battle, where you can get into Solace without having to go through a lot of the other EA territory, but it's not great for the layout. It looks kind of wonky. But I think we'll leave it off, and there's an event I want to do around that, but I won't tell you what it is yet. Rider Seraphics, Rider to Solace, that's good. Or Sluis and Solace. Don't want that one. Do want that one. Actually good for Eddie. Yavin we don't want, or Fondor, we want to Kaelist. We want Fondor to Typhera. I think that's all we want for Fondor. Garros to Miss 3, we don't want that. Garros to Findar, we do. Is Endor supposed to be as isolated as it is in the EAW? It's actually, it is, there are other planets around here, but they're just all very unimportant. And there's actually fewer planets around here than any other territory. It's kind of close to the unknown regions. So in this area, you'd have the Siruvi, and there's not really much going on in here. Do you want Garrus Tarash? Which planet is this? Mandalore. Okay, so I don't think we have any Mandalore trade routes in the mod already. Yeah, that's good. Don't want that. Hapes to Miss 2, Hapes to Terraphon. This Hapes? Yeah. So Terraphon, we'd want to Miss 3. I think, and that's it. We want to control the traffic through there. Let's get a Cernpital, we do want. Will the Katana Fleet mission be fixed in 2.2? I'm pretty sure it's not broken. I think I remember you mentioning you'd had a problem with it, Kumar, but I've never been able to recreate that. So, Bakura is right here, Callum. Biddy.
Is there anything broken in the Katana mission?
I'm pretty sure it still worked last time I tried it.
Okay.
Jameis. Because Kumar was having trouble with it in 2.1, which is, we know for a fact it worked there, but Ethan, nothing from the Disney canon would be included in the mod. It's a different timeline. None of that stuff exists in the Legends timeline, and none of the Legends timeline stuff exists in the Disney timeline, except the stuff that's been explicitly mentioned in in the newer books. So we wouldn't cover that at all. Oh, junctions to Sereno, we do want that. It's basically the equivalent of putting Star Trek stuff in the mod. Wouldn't really make any sense. Cache it. No, we don't want to do that. Yeah, it's because I hate Bane. Clearly. Yeah, Thrawn captured some cloning facilities on Wayland, and he also brought one of them to Neuron. So he used those to clone some of the officers and soldiers that he thought were the most gifted. Miss 3 to Terraphon. Okay, I think that's all the keep and trade routes we need. That was a joke, by the way, for anyone who can. I don't hate Bane. He's a perfectly acceptable human being. I guess the Morja to Quattro stack one is, but that needs to change because that is actually linking Morja and Yagdal. Barn Saijo, Mutalist and Trassi. We want that? I don't think we want that. No, we do want that. Never mind. We don't want that, though. Worker to Wayland, we do want. Nalhutta to Elysia, we do want. You want to Quethol, we do want. You want to Yaga, we do want. Alright, so we shouldn't need any new trade routes for any of the Empire of the Hand stuff. I might want to give them access down to Bakura, but I don't want to make things too hard for the New Republic. And it's going to be difficult for them regardless, early on. Thanos, that's good. Roasted to Goria, that's not good. Rhodey to Sullust is not good either. Darvchi to Psycha, not good. But nope. That. That's... No, we don't want that. Sereno, Angren we do want. What new ships, if any, will we see? In what? There's like dozens of new ships in 2.2 that we've shown off. Some that we haven't. So, a good chunk of them were in the demo. The Mandalorians had their own sort of defense fleet. They were involved in the Negai Toph War stuff around there, which is one of the dumbest things in Star Wars. And there's a lot of dumb things that are in Star Wars, but one of the tutorial ones. So they did exist. The rebels kind of helped free them, and then they just said, "Everyone leave now. We're on our own," and try to rebuild. We'd consider giving them their own little defense fleet, but they wouldn't be like a full playable faction or anything like that. Alright, so these are all the trade routes that we want that we've already made. Everything else we will have to make now. Let's go north to south. We want Redor to... Or Gabbard... I'm gonna... I guess I should turn this into monitor capture. Now all my text is gone. I think, yeah, that's what we want. Alright, so trade route builder, we're going to want Gabrador to Alska. And right now, in this build, it wasn't set to automatically enable. The ideal future one would do that for you, but next we want Eel Shaw to Cernpidal. And in the mod, we try to keep everything in alphabetical order. If you were just doing this on your own, it wouldn't really matter that much unless you care if it's in alphabetical order. But I always try to pick the first one first and the second one second, so it ends up proper like that. You want Angst Miner to Cernpidal. No, we didn't want any of those. Then I said for Q-Trick, we wanted that one to go down to just Axilla, right? So we want Axilla. I don't think we want them to have access. I don't think we want them to have to worry about the Pentastar alignment right off the bat. Let's get for Sinri to Wayland. Do we want any of these connected? I don't think we do. Maybe Axilla to Dathomir. Let's get that. We want Bandamir to Merker and Wayland. So Bandamir, Wayland, and then we're going to do the other one right now as well. Bandamir to Merker, and then I think we want Bandamir down to Contrum. Is that Hapes right here? No, that's Terraphon, so yeah, definitely to Contrum. Oh, that's Mandalore. Bandamir. Oh. Here we go. Maybe we should just do to Mandalore. Yeah, let's do that. There we go. I think we do want Merker down to Mist too. Let's get that up here. You up there. Are you Mist too? Morocco. No, Merker to Morocco is another one we're going to have to add right now. Orico. Orinda to Orico. Like 90% of mod development is just me saying, yeah, let's do that, in case anyone hadn't picked up on that just yet. And that's when Pox and Thorny get annoyed with me. If you thought any of this was planned, this is really not. Orico. I do want Orico down to Yinkor.
Ooh, I can finally try so.
What?
It took, yeah, I can try survival now. It took all my Git programs on Windows. It took them like, I don't know, half an hour to get the updates from GitHub.
Nice. Did you spend any time on Wikipedia before Disney? Yes, I spent most of my life on Wikipedia. Feels like. Try to calm down a little in the chat there. Near to Orinda and Tetrasi. Almost done with the north. It would be almost more useful to have story scripts that lock trade routes instead of locking planets. They'd probably not flash in a way that causes epileptic seizures. Kind of do want to add Corvus now. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm going for it.
I think we have to look at the Empire of the Hand survival map again. All the units that Rogue plays manually actually
Hyperspace in.
Player.
Oh, that's not good.
Like,
I haven't tried it since he said he fixed it, so.
I'm starting with a damaged Star Destroyer and some frigates.
I have to teach him how to code props, and then he'll probably have to remake those. He doesn't know how to do it yet, and it's pretty simple, so I'm just going to tell him how to do it so he doesn't just keep placing real units. And that should be a bit easier for him.
Yeah.
That'll make everything function better.
Not in the outbound flight thing here.
Which direction they moved? Do they just stay oriented weirdly? And
they glitch a bit and then they're on.
Oh, they normalize?
Yeah.
That's lame.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we could make them move like laterally. Richard, we tend to base the travel routes more on what makes more sense for gameplay. If we try to do it too much off of like real hyperlanes, like the hiding way and all that stuff. We want to do that eventually, where we just make the ones that already exist within our structures. Like if the travel lanes we've chosen incidentally line up with that, we'll give them the extra economic bonus and then maybe give them a different color. But we don't want to have a thing in like in Republic at War where they just sort of look weird and then cause a lot of issues with how stuff travels, because that is kind of annoying. There's other stuff we can do with it to have them still have an effect on gameplay without having to mess up some of the travel paths, which we'd have to discuss more internally because I haven't brought it up at all. And I'm not 100% sure if it'll work, but I'm pretty sure even I can make it work, so it's probably doable.
Okay, so Panda Star Survival actually crashes.
Given the investment, or given the investment time in new space models you've mentioned before, just like for certain ground assets, the team of modelers have more of an aversion to making ground models. Well, we don't really have a super active art team. It's for the people just working on EAW. It's I think I'm the only modeler that works specifically on EAW. Like, that's our team Discord. Getting out of that now. Shit. The only active art people right now are myself, Sleverd, and Dr. Knickers, I want to say. I'm probably forgetting someone, but most of the art people primarily work on Ascendancy anyways, which is why a lot of the space stuff gets prioritized. So any ground stuff would usually come down to me or Dr. Knickers, and Dr. Knickers, when he does have time to work on the mod, usually works more on effects. So he doesn't really do many new models.
Do we have a new menu battle?
Yes.
I think we should probably remove. You can't see anything.
Yeah, I want to redo a lot of the main menu stuff. Wade was saying he was going to take a look at the UI, but he's been AFK for a while.
Okay.
We have never worked with Bernstrobe, and they are not his work. What's our next? I think we want Mandalore down to Contrum and Findar. No, yeah. Mandalore to Contrum and Mandalore to Findar. I just need those two enabled down here. And Contrum to Mandalore. So Rivester and Antimeridius. So we'll have to make Phantom to Rivest. Have we not put Rivester in any of the GCs for... Apparently not. So Joe Mark to Rivester and Metalorn to Rivester. Guys in the chat, can we go back to talking about Rampart? You were therefore free to look at ground assets. Which area would you most like to work on and why? And what would you change? You've also spent time on new space abilities in 2.2. Any news for ground? Well, one of the other things with ground art assets is that they require different animations, which are also much harder to do because they all have to be animated in 3ds Max 6, 7, 8, or 9. And that program does not cooperate very well at all with newer versions of Windows. Like the UI will freeze all the time, so you're constantly saving, exiting, reopening. It is super annoying, which is another reason I don't like working on it that much. But basically, the Empire of the Hand ground units are higher priority, and then a lot of the Rebel tanks. But as far as space ability, well, we have new space abilities versus newer ground abilities. I'd consider technically the running while firing kind of a ground ability, but there was just more obvious stuff to do with space abilities, like the micro jumps, single unit retreat. That was all stuff that people had really wanted for a while, even boarding in space versus ground, and ground boarding was already a thing. You can capture vehicles with the Chewie ability. And there's just not as much obvious stuff. So the stuff that was higher up on the priority list was what was kind of easier to think of, and we haven't really planned out any ground abilities, so a lot of the basics are already there. Like there was already more variety in ground abilities in the base game, like the capturing vehicles. A lot of the stuff in space would work in ground. Pretty much anything you want to do, you could do with the deploy ability as well. Hold on, we wanted Enzoth down to Odic. To Degoria. Do we want? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. Get Corellia to Talasia. Could you work with people outside the team to make ground assets? Well, anyone that wanted to make assets for the team would just join the team. There's not like this. There's really no one outside the team who wants to make assets for the team that isn't already on the team. And like most other mods just get their assets by like porting them from other games, which we don't do. So it's not like we could just go up to another team and be like, hey, you want to make some ground assets for us? Like really, anyone who's going to make those new things, who wants to make them for the mod, they would just, we'd see if they wanted to join the team. So, not really. Like, Farseer is one of the few other modders for Empire at War that does make their own assets with Rise of the Mandalorians and Halo Campaign Commander. And he actually used to be part of the TR team, and at that point, I was doing some models for Campaign Commander for him. He was doing some of the art assets for TR. Like he did the Phalanx skin, he did the Chaff skin, he did the Mytil Bomber model and skin, and the Starhome model and skin. So we've done that before, but Farseer is way too busy with his own stuff to want to join back up or anything like that. Chardon and Glomp, though. What are the some? What are some of the planned features for the GC builder that you're willing to share? Well, we want to be able to basically build an entire GC from within the program. So, like starting forces, setting all the factions. Basically anything you need to do. Yeah, Pox really wants to get some story event editor features into it because he'd made a story editor program before. Is that available anywhere? Is that still on Mod Database?
I think it's on ModDB.
I didn't want that trade route. Like, it still requires a fair amount of knowledge to work with it, but it does. There's a lot of functionality in that we want to incorporate into the GC editor. So as much as possible, you can just stay within the editor and never have to touch an XML file again. That's a lie, but
yeah, that's not gonna happen.
The main priorities with it are to sort of automate all the things that are incredibly tedious and take a while to do. Like these trade routes that I'm doing right now that I've only been doing for about an hour would be hours and hours of work. And this GC would take forever to do, and I probably wouldn't have done it because it would have been too tedious and I wouldn't have wanted to do it. But now, through the magic of Grayskull, we can do it this way. You have a tutorial and know of one on how to make models or skins for the game. Well, if you learn how to model or skin, like any modeling and skinning tutorials you can find, they would work. Like any model will really work for any game. It just depends more on like animation sets and like poly counts, which details you need or don't need. So if you know the basics of 3D modeling and texturing, that's going to work that's going to be transferable. The only thing you need to know specifically for Empire at War is you need to know how to set up the rigs for it. And I don't think there's a video tutorial for it, but I think there's some tech stuff around. But the bigger problem there is that it requires 3ds Max 6, 7, 8, or 9, and there's no way around that, but those programs aren't really available anymore. So that's the biggest block for it. And that's part of why I've never done a video tutorial on it, partially because it's just such an annoying program to have to start and stop and restart and stop all the time, but also because it wouldn't be useful to so many people because you can't get the program anymore, so most of the comments would just be, where can I get the program? Even if I answered in the video, and then I'd have to be like, you can't. So, tough luck. Yeah, that'd probably be useful, Bob. No data reader. There's the only converters for Empire at War to export to Alamo are 3ds Max 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's nothing else that will do it. Bespin and Hoth. Gonna connect them. How many story events are you putting in the GCs? Is it up to Tech 5 or are they story specific? Well, each different GC will have different story events that can happen. This one is going to be Era Progressive, so it'll have all the story events tying into progressing from Era 1 to Era 5. But the Like there's stuff like the Back to War GC I just did for the channel, where there's going to be a lot more story events, and there's going to be some like the Empires at War GC where it's just like standard Conquer the Galaxy type stuff. So it'll really vary by GC a lot more than it did in previous builds. I should probably connect some of these planets a bit more. Junction to Findar. Because we want to have a bit more of a variety in it, and just because there's so many different GCs in the mod, it's harder to put as much story as we'd like to do. Because there's 20 GCs, 8 playable factions, and between all of it, you end up with about 70 to 80 playable variants of GCs. So even if we did one mission per faction per GC, that ends up being like 3 times the size of every single mission in Empire at War put together, which would be very difficult to develop. Which one did I just make? Junction to Findar. There we go. You want Meriden to Liana? Yeah, I think we'll do Meriden to Liana, and that'll be good over here. Are you going to play something else on your channel like Call of Duty or War Thunder? I probably wouldn't play either of those games, but like this month I'm going to be doing some Europa Universalis. We've got the Warhammer 2 campaign starting. I'm going to be doing a bit more Sins. Once the mod is a bit more stable, I want to play the Star Wars mod for Men of War Assault Squad. I'll probably try it once just while it's in its current state, but it seems really buggy, so... Alright, Meriden. Did I want to... I don't think I do want to connect them to anywhere else. Maybe Meriden to Findar. I think we'll do that. Okay, and I think that's good for this area. There's a little outcropping of Greater Maldrude planets. Everything else has access to each other. Maldrude doesn't have to worry about getting completely wrecked by the New Republic early on. Life is good. So the next one we're going to want to do is Endor up to... Zefel. Nope. There we go. I don't have Hearts of Iron. I'll see how well Europa Universalis does, and then if that does well, if people enjoy watching that, maybe I'd end up doing some Hearts of Iron, but I'm going to be doing multiplayer for EU4, so because I don't know how much we'll end up doing it. It's just something I want to play, so really with that kind of thing, the better it does, the more likely I am to record it more in the future. But if no one watches EU4, there's really not a reason to put out videos on Hearts of Iron. I don't want to make too many commitments to too many different types of games before knowing if anyone cares enough to watch any of it. Okay, so let's get Morja down to Vondark. I'm 99.9,000% positive that there will never be a PS4 version of Empire at War. there's enough stuff within Legends that we'll never be able to get to cover like actual canon events that we wouldn't really want to do like what if scenarios that much. And the reason all the progression is tied, the timeline progression is tied to the Imperial leader death, is because if the New Republic leader dies, they just elect a new leader and it's fine. But when the Imperial leaders died, there was a whole lot of factions that would break off, come together. They had different access to different tech. You'd have different sub-factions vying for power. That's why it's so much based off of the Imperial Remnant leader living or dying. With the New Republic, on top, a lot of their progression just becomes available when the era progresses, but they have like more traditional tech progression. So having their leaders live or die doesn't really impact the story overall as much as the other factions would. Well, so it's not necessarily that I wouldn't play it if no one watched the EU4 thing. It's that I wouldn't record video of me playing Hearts of Iron and posting it. But I'll like off stream, off camera, whatever. I play a ton of stuff that I'd never record just because it's not really what people watch on the channel. Like I play a lot of League of Legends, but if I'm trying to prioritize like which videos go out or which games I want to do for videos, it's typically better to just focus on what people want to see, because there'd be way too many videos coming up if I recorded everything I played. And if you put out a bunch of videos that no one watches, it's really bad for YouTube wanting to send people to your channel. And I kind of have to keep that in mind as well. Like even stuff like the Total War campaign, it's a bit outside what people would typically watch on the channel, so I don't expect it to do super well, but that's why it's a second video for the day. So I do appreciate the support. Guess Otis and Rafsix. Yeah, any sort of secession events or faction splits are kind of harder to keep track of. You need a bit more control over them to make sure the game doesn't crash out if unexpected stuff doesn't happen during them. So trying to have like individual groups split off the New Republic would be a little bit more difficult. Especially because even with the Kamas stuff, there were the different groups that were pulling out. Like I think it was like the Ifkin or something. It's been so long since I've read the Hand of Thrawn duology, but we don't really have the assets to make those sub-factions properly, so we probably wouldn't do too much with them. The storyline of how Thrawn starts his empire. So in the future, we would like to make a GC based around some of the early fights with Empire of the Hand, just more focused on the stuff that's in the Outer Rim, or the Unknown Regions. So we'd have access to like the Empire of the Hand over here, you'd have the Siruvi down here, Warlord Nuso Esfa, and maybe some Killiks, and maybe even the Chiss Ascendancy itself as well. But that's a lot of art assets we need to make, so it's really not super likely we'd be able to do it. We want to do Chardin of Von Dark. Okay, I think all these are good. The only ones I don't want to... We'll have to connect Katana Space 1. I think we'll have to do it to different ones for each faction. So I think we'll add access From K-List to Katana Space. I forgot how to alphabet. There we go. And we'll add from Endor to Katana Space as well. I just don't want you to be able to go all the way through here, because that would be kind of a mess. So we'll probably have to remove the Endor to Katana Space one for the Imperial Remnant version, and the K-List to Katana Space one for the New Republic version. And then Katana Space won't be there at all for the other factions. Alright, so that's good. This planet, you may notice, is not connected to anything, because this is not actually a planet. Let's zoom in nice and close so you can all see it. This is the Galaxy Core Art model, which it's coded as a planet, but it's basically a prop. It's the thing that it's just the background art for the galaxy. So the spiral arms, all that stuff. I don't know if the Sky Dome is connected to it, but I think it might be. But anyways, I'm going to save this as Art of War, not Art of What, Art of War, Art of War. Saved there. Click the button a bunch of times. Load it up. And this is the basic coding for Art of War. So these are all the locations we've set. I'm going to get rid of this. And all of our trade routes. Sorry, Stephen, I didn't see that. The Total War campaign will start tomorrow, I believe. Either tomorrow or the next day. And I'm probably going to do it every other day. So it'll probably, maybe on when it lands on Mondays, it might be the only video of the day. But other than that, it'll be a secondary video on top of stuff like the Awakening of the Rebellion. Or maybe it'll be the only video also on days where it's... where we're between series for other stuff, but I'm hoping to do it every other day. It'll probably be around for a while. So. And what about a GC about the early days of the New Republic? That's basically every GC in the mod. So the Back to War GC, the Stars Align, the Endor Aftermath GC, that's all pretty much like right when the New Republic starts. I'm going to turn this off. Go back to this. Alright, so that's all saved. Now we are going to go Documents, GC Editor, UI bin debug. Yes. New trade routes.
Oh, you can, by the way, you can, if you have the most recent version of the Galactic Conquer Editor, if you start the Eto GUI desktop version instead, I think you can already select the layer and what factions are going to be GC.
Oh, handy. I was unaware of that. I synced it today, but...
Yeah, I mean, like the old one.
Oh. So these buttons actually do something now?
Let me see.
Is that what you're saying, or...
Go into... let me see, where is it?
I'm going to show you guys this stuff, because this is this file you're looking at right now. These are all the trade routes in the game, technically. So at the end of this file, these are all the ones we just created for our playthrough, or for our GC here. And the problem with that is they are not in alphabetical order, and they are not put into the trade route files we actually have. So Slorny will kill me. So what we have to do next is open our trade routes and trade routes 2 file, and we will have to manually go through, and we will have to put these into the GC editor, or into the file. So I think the last ones it loads are here. Yeah, so we can get rid of everything up to here. And we will need to plug these all in. Luckily, there aren't that many. I'm pretty sure... sorry, can we get another campaign for the demo? So we won't be putting out another demo with another GC, because the content we need to get done to have any other GC finished would essentially be the same stuff we need to have the whole mod done, because we need to get all the art assets for probably another set of factions, all the coding and testing done for that stuff. So it'd be a lot quicker, a lot more efficient to just finish the mod rather than trying to divert resources back into another demo. So unless it takes like super long to get stuff done, we might like put out Stars Align or something, but it's very unlikely that we'd put another demo out before the end of development. Bane was not looking here. Alright, so Gabrador. Gabrador to Kalarba, I think. Oh, Helska, either way. Hillshot to Cernpidal. Luckily the planets are grouped together, so I think we just have to find one for each. We don't have to go back and forth a lot. Emmer, Endor, Entrala. So I'll probably show a lot of this GC creation, Jeffrey. This stream is probably going to end fairly soon because I haven't eaten dinner yet and it's 8:30. But I'll probably do this again tomorrow night if people liked it, and I'll do some more of the XML stuff. I don't think I'll show the entire thing, but tomorrow night we'll at least get some of the XML stuff started, and I'll launch into the GC so you can at least see what it looks like in game before we do the playthrough. Xeon, alright.
Okay, I think I haven't pushed the latest version of Galactic. Maybe it's on my Linux.
So you got me all excited, and then
Yeah, I can push it later.
it's fine. Just cry in a corner. Forget what letter that was that I copied. It's minor to Cernpidal. We want, nope, Scylla to Kutrick, AC, Varos to Wayland. Oh, wait, Exile to Dathomir. Not getting away. Ross to Wayland. Nope, all questions are good, Data Reader. Gives me something to talk about. The huts were actually not gone by now. So they actually didn't do too poorly after Endor because the Empire left them alone. Well, the Empire could no longer afford to really shut them down, and even during the Galactic Civil War, they were able to make their own stuff. So there were hut-designed ships and everything going around. They just usually felt like they didn't need to do anything, but they were very opportunistic. So there's a mechanic we have that we'd like to use for them in some stuff later that we will talk about at that point. Bandamir to Mandalore, Bandamir to Merker. Well, thank you, Bane, but I don't know if I'm getting a webcam. It's not a financial hurdle I have to get over. Do we have any other Bandamir trade routes? Yes. Miss 2 to Merker. Merker to Morocco. Into to Morocco. Let's get these Bilbringi ones done first. See you, Data. No, Ethan, there's no ground units I can think of that are like that. Alright, so I'm probably just going to do this part off screen because this will be super tedious and I'm getting hungry, so I think we're going to end the stream there. Tomorrow night I'll probably do some of the starting forces setup, so I'll schedule that stream later tonight so you'll know when it is, assuming I end up being able to do that, which I should be able to. I don't think there's anything happening tomorrow. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this, or at least found it marginally interesting, or had it on in the background while doing something more important. Thanks, Pox, for joining me and fixing the invulnerable ships bug. I'm not going to go back to here. But I'm going to end the stream now, so see you next time, guys. Bye.